Today, I want to introduce and talk about reference points, an elegant shortcut used by driving instructors to speed up learning process. Basically what they do is replace your judgment with an easy-to-remember sentence. For example, rather than judging how far back you can reverse into a parking space in order to hide in it completely, but without touching the curb, you can use a reference point. When the curb appears to be in the corner of rear passenger window, stop. If you're doing this task for the first or second time in your life, it's much easier that way, and you can complete it independently on your third attempt. Acquiring proper feel of how long your vehicle is will take much longer, weeks, maybe even months of driving. In general, there are two types of reference points: optical and abstract. Optical. These types of reference points completely replace your judgment and don't require any mental effort. No need to assess things. Good example of optical reference point is how far back to stop behind preceding traffic. As close as possible while still seeing his tires touching the tarmac. Optical reference points are very easy to use, but may be extremely sensitive to the positioning of your head. So even small change in pre-drive seat setup may render optical reference point useless. Not only that, but also others, often external changes, may affect optical reference points. For example, different road camber or inclination. One last small inconvenience is the fact that sometimes the reference point is not really that obvious. If you need to stop when the curb is 3/4 of the way along the edge of the window, it's not so easy to remember anymore. Abstract reference points. This type of reference points are much more difficult to use. They require some degree of spatial intelligence and imagination. For example, to turn when the front of the car is in line with the beginning of the bay requires careful assessment of the car's position relative to the bay. They do help to memorize individual steps required to complete a maneuver, and I think they bridge the gap between using optical reference points and relying solely on judgment nicely. Thanks for watching. I'm Mark. Drive smart.